York. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
My father's a musician.
Okay.
He's a drummer. And he played with Alison Krauss and Union Station and like Emmylou Harris. And he was drum for the first band that George Martin produced after the Beatles, C-Train.
Wow.
So like I've been peripherally in the music industry. Yeah. So I toured with my dad during the summer. I used to go with him in the bus. And I was at Letterman in 1990 when Bill Nye sprayed him with the fire extinguisher.
Wow,
And what nobody knows is that when Bill Nye sprayed him, that really pissed Letterman off.
No shit.
And I was standing in a hallway, 14, 15 years old, and Letterman kicks the door open, comes after Bill Nye, and starts I've never...
Choked him out.
Fucking...
Losing it.
Wigged out on him so hard. So you don't ever spray me with the fire extinguisher. I spray you with the fire extinguisher. I'll never forget that.
But that's a classic moment.
Yeah. That's a classic moment on Letterman.
That's what I mean.
I saw the other side of it.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm surprised Letterman wouldn't get that makes it amazing.
You know something? Sometimes when you want to be in charge of the funny.
Right.
And when the funny is no longer out in your purview, even if it works, you can intellectually get that it works. But the idea, because humor is a lot about pushing back humiliation, right?
Right.
Humor is about saying, like, I want to control the humiliation, right? I don't want you to control it. I had a big nose, growing up. I want to make sure to be the first person to go after my nose.
That's right.
Before letting somebody else do it.
Right.
So it's an issue of control, too. So when someone steps out of that control and they take your space, people don't like that.
His name is Anthony, and you guys have just picked up on a conversation here, Ebro in the morning, Laura Stiles. Anthony, I don't want to butcher your last name.
Atamanuik. Okay.
Awful.
I always say Atamanuik.
It's close. Atamanuik is actually how it's supposed to be said, is Atamanuik.
Atamanuik.
But nobody says it's Canadianized to Atamanuik.
Atamanuik. Yeah. You may recognize his face. He doesn't have his wig on today, but he is. I'm surprised he didn't come with the Donald Trump wig today, man.
Oh, it's only 2 hours of work and about $6,000 payout every time you want to do it.
I was going to ask you, how long does it take you? How long did it take you to get ready? The makeup and all?
2 hours.
Wow.
I always say I am 1 hour short of Michael Dorn, who played Worf on Next Generation.
Wow.
Because he was 3 hours.
You know, it's interesting, right? So many people who do comedy prior to Donald Trump becoming president were having a great time making fun of fucking Donald Trump. We were all talking shit, having a great time. Then it became reality. And did you look back on the lead into Donald Trump becoming president and go, what the fuck?
No.
Like, because I did.
Yeah,
I look back on our time on the radio and I was like, yo, we really gave this guy a lot of free press.
Yeah.
We really gave this guy marketing, and he took it all the way and ran with it.
Yeah. Shame.
Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, congratulations. We played ourselves so much.
Yeah. I did not. I obviously profited like a lot of people did off of this machine. So I have my own tithing to do, sort of morally. But I think that my insurance policy was I started doing him in August of 2015. I had never done him before.
And not literally doing him, guys. It was actually there was never penetration. They never had sex.
It was only taint tickling. Only taint tickling, which is totally fine. And is like, somewhere on the spectrum of sexuality.
So what inspired you? You were watching all like the madness that was going on. So he was like, you know what? Let me see if I can do my little Donald impression.
I'm an improviser.
Yeah.
And so like one day someone said, Mr. President. And I went, oh, it'd be funny to be Trump. So I walked out and did probably I think I did like a, yes, I'm Donald. It was more like droopy. Like I was like, yeah, I'm Donald Trump. And, but someone said, do a show. And so I decided to do a show, a solo show. So I did a show that was a warning. It was a half-hour press conference after Trump won. It was his first press conference as president. And I called it Trump Dump. And the whole notion is that he sort of weaves through all the policies that he's going to do. Like he was going to do the Anchor Baby program where he was going to bronze immigrant children and then attach them to naval ships. And like it was brutal.
Yeah.
And so I tried to present him as brutally as he is. But then the conceit of the show is that The Trump dump title was that he had actually launched a full nuclear strike at the beginning of the press conference to just show everybody that he could do it.
Right.
So
just for fun.
Just for fun. So the one thing I'll say is I spent a year plus touring the country with James Adomian doing Trump versus Bernie, warning people, like just saying this guy could win.
Yeah, no,
this
you're
guy
right.
could win. It's dangerous. And the press thing, I used to tick it up. Every show I would calculate, I think he got a total of $2.5 billion in free coverage from CNN, MSNBC, and Fox in terms of air coverage, like what he would have had to pay for.
Yeah.
I would calculate it in every show and say, this is how much money these people are paying to make him president.
Okay, so when you say touring, did you ever come to certain states where your character wasn't so welcome?
You'd be surprised. We were in North Carolina, and we had some people who came to see the show who were Trump supporters who liked the show.
Okay.
They didn't like that I didn't like him, but they thought I did a good job. That's like my weird my Venn diagram. People will be like, we like your Trump, it's accurate, but we don't like your content, but we'll still watch you because we like the impression, and that I like.
Bizarre.
Wait a minute.
Because then the message gets across.
It's so bizarre.
Let me unpack that a minute. Because there are people who supported Trump just because of his celebrity.
Yes.
And that's what those people sound like. Like they're not really, the issues are kind of like,
Yeah, that's a lot of people who voted for him.
But I know him. I feel like I know him. I've seen him on TV. I've heard about him.
Yeah.
I see his name on buildings.
Yeah.
Maybe I bought some of his ties. You know what I'm saying? Like
I have his
know.
cufflinks.
Yeah, there you go. Like I know him, so I'm gonna vote for him.
We saw him
Not
before.
is he the most quiet? And we would have this conversation leading into him.
Yes, but remember, I even brought up Arnold Schwarzenegger. We saw it before. Remember?
Can I just say something?
Thank
You're the
you.
only other person I've ever. California, you want to know what's going to happen in the country? Just look at California and then jump 10 years ahead for the rest of the country,
Wow.
5 years ahead.
Ronald Reagan.
Yes. This Schwarzenegger was a predictor of the possibility of, who here wouldn't rather have Schwarzenegger as president right now? And that's messed up.
Yeah.
To think that Jingle All the Way is like now where we're at as like our baseline of reason. But the other thing that is so frightening that you say that's so good in my mind is, remember in Return of the Jedi when C-3PO does the whole story of Star Wars for the Ewoks and they all sit there sort of like all like, entranced? Trump did something that was tribal in his rallies. Every rally he did, because I watched them all because I was studying him, he took his story and he told his story. And he made every person in that room, whether you like it or not, this is not an endorsement of him or saying I'm just looking at the game that he was
and
putting out.
also acknowledging, and we all must acknowledge, he is and always has been known for marketing and getting his word out and connecting with people. That's always been his thing.
That's what he does.
He's a salesman.
And he did it incredibly well. He made you feel a part of his journey. He would start every rally with, there were 17. And then he would tell the story of how he vanquished the 17 other Republican candidates. And then he would talk about all the things that he's going to do in connection to them. We're going to do this. We did this. You remember that. You remember this. Therefore, that audience is swelling with association and connection with him. And because I think, is such an empty person. And I think empty in the sense that I think he's sad. I think he is devoid of understanding of self-love. I think he has issues in terms of his masculinity and who he is as a man. And I think all these things play out. He found an outlet. These people who he would not go near in a million years. Could you imagine him walking around like intersecting and interacting with the folks who are coming to his rallies?
With poor white people.
Yeah, with poor white people.
Yep.
You think he would touch them? No.
Absolutely
But
not.
in that moment on the stage, this dynamic, it was this giant reinforcement system that was you see it. He discovered a new way to get validated.
Well, and
so he was
there's
high
so
on
many
it.
things there because those of us that live in New York and know who Donald Trump is, he is a part of the New York elite. The New York elite has always made fun of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Made him a clown here in this city.
Yeah.
Then you had Barack Obama, made him a clown the shit out of him, right? I believe this whole run was fueled by that. And
Oh,
that's
vindictive.
His entire life is about that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's why he'll live. That's why he'll also
dorky-
live to like 100.
Right.
Because that's what people like that do. They fight everything. He fights. His whole life is fighting to be in the room because no one wants him in the room. And that's who he, and so when you are that person who is like, even when I do him, when I walk around, we were in DC, and if my back is to people, people can't tell. And the thing I learned was to be Donald Trump is to be pointed at and laughed at pretty much most of the time. So imagine that your life is that everybody is like, ha ha, like constantly laughing at you, mocking you, but yet you asked for it and you set it up. And again, this is not a victim, like he's not a victim, but I mean, he's a victim of his home circumstances. And I think his father was probably abusive. And I think his brother was, I don't know, but I know his brother had a drinking problem and he was a perpetual bachelor and he was a TWA pilot and he killed himself. So I think there's a lot of pain there. So he had a lot of pain in that home. And he also was self-destructive. And I think maybe a little had a sociopathic streak in him in terms of his violence towards people. And there's a lot of factors that then show you this old man who is now also, and I think the New York elite thing is so important, is that blue bloods, I'm from Massachusetts and I know this, blue bloods are blue bloods. They don't let you in their area. You can go visit the country club. You can.
What is it? When you say blue blood, what does that mean?
A blue blood is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
A wasp.
And we called them the blue bloods. I don't know where the term comes from, but it's essentially that that's the true elite. Okay, like Mitt Romney, his family.
Well, and for the black and brown people tuned in right now, those are when you guys hear me talk about the real white people, and you guys think like Jews and Greeks and Italians and these people are white people.
They're not.
No.
They're not white people.
The real white people are
the blue bloods.
The blue bloods. That's who the real white people are because they almost have like a colonial sort of attitude. They look at everything as if you're just other, you're this. And I mean, I knew them. I went to school with some of them. And Romney had a horse at the equestrian center in the town I went to school in for half a second. Because I grew up in a place called Chelsea, Massachusetts, which is very, not a great, I grew up in a very poor city. I mean, I remember watching 60 Minutes and they were like the poorest city in the United States, Chelsea, Massachusetts. And we were all like, oh, like eating our dinner, like looking at our own city.
Like, shit.
Yeah. And so like,
it was a working town, workers'
very
town.
workers' town. And when I went, I remember I became the president of my high school and the article was Jew becomes president in this blue blood town.
Wow.
That was how hard. And then and this town council tried to not allow me to be the president of the high school because they said I was not part of
the student body president.
Yes.
They took it serious.
They took it very seriously. Yeah.
Because in that, to your point, is them, you can go to school here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't be leadership.
But you cannot be leadership. You're not allowed to be in that.
And we don't want our
club.
children to even look at a Jewish man as leadership. We don't even want that to be an idea that they would accept ever.
Yes. Yeah. It was that for real. That was like 1990.
Yeah.
That's not that long ago. But so Trump, he's not a blue blood. He's from Queens. And even though he's German, he has the descent that could give him that. He's not that. He's a guy from Queens whose father, made his money kicking people of color out of their homes so that he could resell and flip. I mean, people don't even look at, to me, all the egregious behavior of the fact that his father was a member of the Klan.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things.
We talked about all of it and people did not care.
They don't care.
And a lot
That's
of people.
Dangerous. That's dangerous.
Well, no, because they only, in America, we foster this idea to only care about your bank account.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you going to have a job? Am I going to have a job? What does this do for my refrigerator?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? What does this do
Only
for
me.
my roof?
What takes care for me, for my home, for what I have to do, and everyone else can take care of themselves. It's a lottery mentality of rugged individualism that is taking us apart because it's a divided idea. You can't, on the one hand, have this manifest destiny, rugged individualism concept that every man for himself, and then in the same breath say we are a nation that is of a community. We're a melting pot.
We're
You can't
united.
have
We're
both.
United States.
It's impossible for those two to exist. And I would argue that FDR's vision of the United States was probably the closest to what we could have been, which is essentially a semi-socialistic democratic country where we're not socialistic in a European fashion. We are instead creating large institutions that develop technology and advance us while we have private industry that is regulated very tightly, because there's nothing wrong with a business or a capitalistic system in the sense of a business succeeding. I mean, watching that documentary alone, it's like watching something succeed is amazing.
You're talking about Defiant Ones.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch people take something and make it. But just like a tumor, you have to, tumors can be benign or they can be cancerous, and corporations have become malignant tumors. They are growing and duplicating at rates that then consume the rest of the body. That's the point of regulation. Regulation's radiation.
The balance.
It's the balance, and it keeps things ordered. And that's why this is a shift in a sense, but like we talk about Trump and blah, 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 but this did not begin with him. He is actually the manifestation of, 50 years really of a strategy of choking out the country that, the very country that, and I don't want to put it all on the Republicans because the Democratic Party has had their own version of doing this corruption, but they want to be corrupt within a system they design. The Republicans want to destroy the system and then redesign a corrupt one. And so you just have two angles on the same fleecing. But I just
So
think,
basically what I just heard you say is Trump is a cancer.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
Now, here's my question.
I would
Is
say
he
Trump's
ass
the mole.
Is
He's
he
not
ass
the
cancer or just like skin cancer? Like, which cancer is it?
I would say he's ass cancer because ass cancer sneaks up on you and then suddenly your whole,
that's right.
everything's dropping out.
No, literally, your whole is
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have an inverted, you have a distended rectum. And it's dangling in the toilet, just hitting the water.
Okay.
Anthony Atamanuik's his name, and you can
Wait.
check him out. When are you on Comedy Central?
We are at 11:30 on Thursday night.
Wait, Anthony, hold on, because I have to ask him about this, because his Trump character is popping. But what the hell happened between you and Alec Baldwin?
Oh God. Well,
Trump beef. Trump
That's
impersonator beef.
Trump beef.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do that. You know that
So
show
funny.
Feud, the Betty and Joan thing? I think they're going to do a second one with it now. I don't really know. Here's what I know. I worked with him on 30 Rock.
Yeah.
And he was, he was a big star.
Well, of course.
Right?
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
the star of the show. And I was a lowly extra. And all I know now is the lowly extra is, I think, might even be beating the big star of the show.
So do you feel like your Trump is
I
crushing
mean,
his?
his Trump character is pretty lit.
Oh, I know what I can do. That's what I'll say.
Wow, you sound a lot like Trump right now.
Yeah.
You want to
I know
know
what I
character
can
right
do.
now? If Trump was to speak to Alec Baldwin, what would it sound like?
He would go, well, he'd be, Alec, you do a very competent job playing me. But this guy, Tony, he's so good. He's so much better. You should stick to doing Tony Bennett and other characters that are more, Trump's too close to you. That's all I got to say.
Anthony
So good.
Atamanuik, Comedy Central, man. Yo, make sure you check him out. What's the name of the program one more time?
The President Show.
President Show.
And you'll
He
love
plays an
it.
amazing Donald Trump.